Ever since I started my musical journey, there's always been one thing that has been important to me: gear. Now, gear is such a wide category that it can be described in so many different facets of opinions. For example, you have your guitar snob, the people who will always be spending top dollar for the best builders, who insist upon their tone wood and their mojo that will give the guitar the almighty tone of the gods. You also have your sound guys, I like to call them. Now, this isn't all sound guys, of course, or sound techs, but we all know that one guy at the show who insists upon the vintage gear and the new junk now is not how they used to make it. And now, personally, I try to be impartial to all opinions, but I have to admit that I myself have had my own snob era before. I started playing guitar around 8 years ago when I was in the 4th grade. Now I'm a recent high school graduate, but the first thing that always stuck out to me with gear was looks. Since I was just a noob, I didn't understand anything about electronics or build styles, so of course I just had to get the coolest looking instruments possible. And that still sticks with me today, because now every guitar I get has to pass the looks cool test. But through the years, I have noticed 3 more important factors towards guitars: reliance, playability, and versatility. Welcome to our new segment. I like to call this one Blake's 4 Steps to Good Guitars. Let's get into it. Now, we already mentioned this. Number 1, looks. Looks are always the most important. That's the number 1 factor we always need when we make good guitars, guys, okay? We need good looks. Number 2, reliance. You need to make sure you can always rely on your guitar, whether it's live or in the studio. You need to make sure it can withstand your playing and it can take on any gear that you're gonna put with it. Number 3, playability. You need to make sure it feels good to play, because when it feels good, you play good. And last but not least, versatility. This is the most important. Besides looks, this is the most important. You need to make sure your guitar can do different genres. It can go high output gain to clean and smooth with a little bit of chorus. You need to make sure it sounds good in all scenarios. And those are the 4 steps to good guitars. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm kind of reluctant to say this, but for a long time, I was very much a gear snob. I would only listen to thrash bands like Megadeth and Metallica. Heck, I even owned the Dave Mustaine's Signature V. I wanted to be just like them and play the same music, and I would always rely upon high output humbuckers to get the sound that I wanted at all times. But most importantly, I always had a distaste for Fender style guitars. The looks always just seemed basic. The pickups always gave out an ugly hum. Every time I played a Strat style guitar, the strings just felt slappy or loose, and I hated the way it played. And of course, the worst of it all, you can't do metal on single coils. And I get it, that's just my personal opinion, but I'm actually happy to say that most of those past opinions have changed somewhat rapidly. Being here in the LATL studio has taught me so much about gear of all prices, sizes, preferences, and more. And despite my somewhat hatred for a style of guitar, there has been a sleeper agent that has started to creep its way up: the Jazzmaster. Something about the offset design and the mix of genres I've seen played with it has started to stick with me, and for the past few months I've been wanting one really bad, but I didn't feel like paying the big bucks for that name brand instrument. And then I thought to myself, now I'm pretty crafty. It couldn't be that hard to just do it myself, right? And before I move on, I just need to ask if you could please consider subscribing. This video took quite a good amount of time to make, and my managers and I here at Live Lounge would really appreciate the love and support from you guys if you appreciated this video. We want to make sure that we can grow our channel and get the videos out that you want to watch. So make sure to comment as well if you like this video, and give it a like. Also, don't forget to tune into the weekly artist live streams. We have some really awesome musicians on here every week, and we'd love to share their shows with you, so it's free. Just tune in whenever you can. Lastly, we also have an Instagram. We get a lot of our community feedback through there, so just find us online, follow us, like, subscribe. Appreciate you for watching. Thank you so much. And now that we're back, I want you to take everything I just said and throw it in the trash, because I'm now about to prove all my old opinions wrong by Okay, pause. You're probably already asking me, Blake, how the butt do you build your own guitar? But don't worry, I'm gonna explain it. But first off, you need to understand that the word build is a little misleading because this is actually what's called a parts caster. It means you buy all the parts separately and then you put it together and then voila, you have your own guitar. Like I already mentioned, the first thing that always comes to mind when picking your guitar has to be the looks. So I just scoured the internet for the best looking body and I came across this beautiful blue paisley Jazzmaster built by All Parts. Another roadblock I hit while trying to find parts is that I realized guitar necks are stupid expensive. And I understand why, because there's a lot of construction that goes in building a neck, but man, I did not realize that this at first was going to take up most of my budget. But then I started scouring other websites. I ended up on eBay, which as it turns out has a large group of people who sell their own guitar necks on there. And I came across this account that was selling this beautiful flame maple guitar neck. But it was really sketchy. I'm pretty sure it said the location was China, and the description of every item just said, if you don't trust us, just buy it and you'll prove yourself wrong. So, of course I had to try it out, right? For now, those will be our two most important items, but how about we get into some building now? If you refer back to steps 2 and 3, you'll know that reliance and playability is very important for guitar, so day 1 will turn out extremely vital. Alright, go ahead. This process takes quite a bit of time because I need to make sure I get this neck on straight and the bridge set properly to make sure this can even play well in the first place. I started by setting the neck into place and then measuring it to make sure that it was straight. I then marked my screw holes and started drilling so we had a place to actually attach it to the body. If you see me putting the screws into a candle, that's because I'm actually putting wax on the screws to make sure they don't split the wood while I put them in. It's quite a tedious process, but I managed to get it on straight. I guess, maybe we should measure the bridge on there. Cavity holes. So. Installing the tuners is pretty easy. You just screw holes to hold them in, and then you put them in the hole. The only issue that I had is that my tuners were actually a little small for these tuning holes. That might have been just because I bought the neck from overseas. But I just put a few rolls of copper tape around it and it fit right in. Also, these tuners are locking tuners from Geiger. I've never had locking tuners, but Geiger had a sale on a lot of hardware, so you'll be seeing it a lot on this guitar. While this is going on in the background, I just wanted to mention this one YouTuber named Jim Lil. If you're an audio nerd like me, you probably already know him for debunking old sound and tone myths. But I just wanted to say that he kind of inspired me to create this video, so definitely go check him out. He's making some really cool videos over there. Fitting the bridge was by far the scariest part. This body's a little different from other Jazzmasters because it fits a Strat style bridge. I decided to go with the 2-screw style bridge as opposed to the standard 6-screw. This is because I thought it'd be a lot easier to only make 2 holes, but boy was I wrong. A standard bridge, you just have to screw 6 holes in a line, but on this one, you have to actually insert these bushings into the body, which means using a larger drill bit, which also means you're more likely to either crack the body or miss your mark. This bridge also comes from Geiger, much like the tuners, and something I like about it is that it has rolling saddles, which means it's more likely to stay in tune during use. Also, I'm not trying to leave you on a cliffhanger, but my camera actually ended up overheating because it was quite a hot day in this garage. But getting the bridge put on marks the end of day 1. Day 1 went pretty well besides one mistake. It appeared this body was intended to be used with a 6-screw bridge, because while installing one of the bushings, it actually punched through into the routing for the pickup. And I'm no scientist, but I would say that can be kind of... But I did my research in case this happened, and I just filled it with some sawdust and super glue. See? Good as new. Day 2 was fairly more simple than day 1. Since this was all electronics, all I had to do was put them in the pick guard and then attach them. The only difficult part about this day was that I had to teach myself to solder, which I was a little familiar with, but I'd never actually done before. And while we're here, how about we talk about step 4, versatility. To me, the versatility from this guitar comes from its pickups. The pickups are what give a guitar its sound, and in case you're unfamiliar with how pickups work, they're simply just magnets wrapped with copper, which means that every pickup is different from the next. The pickups I selected for this guitar are actually made by Fender, and they're designed after the original 65 series of Jazzmasters. This means I can get the vintage Jazzmaster tone with the twist of modern engineering. Like I mentioned earlier, this is my first time soldering, and while it did end up working, it was not pretty. How about we just keep that secret between you and me, because to anyone else, it's a functional guitar. Well, Day 3 was by far the easiest. It really was just putting the last things on. And in case you didn't know, a tremolo is a type of bridge that has springs that counteract the string tension, and this lets you make variations in pitch while you play. The tricky thing is that the word tremolo is very misleading for what it actually does, because technically, you know what, actually, let's talk about this right now. Let's talk about this. Like I mentioned, a tremolo bridge has springs that counteract the string tension, and it lets you make variations in pitch as you play if you would like.
Oh, it broke.
This is a tremolo. This is the same type of bridge that is going in this guitar. This is another bridge that also has springs and is also called a tremolo. In this bridge, while it looks a little different, it also has a spring in it which lets you do the same thing roughly. Therefore, it must be a tremolo, right? No, that's where you're wrong. This is actually a vibrato. In fact, none of these are tremolos. They're actually all vibratos, because if you search up tremolo versus vibrato, tremolo is a variation in volume, while vibrato is a variation in pitch. These all create variations in pitch, so why are they called tremolos? Something else that made me curious is that a lot of Fender amps also have a vibrato channel, which made me think, oh, maybe this will finally set the record straight on what vibrato and tremolo mean. So I searched up what is the vibrato feature on an amp, and it says here, an amplifier's vibrato feature is historically mislabeled. It's actually tremolo. Oh my God! It has always made no sense. This is a tremolo, this is a vibrato, they're both vibrato. This is vibrato, it's actually tremolo. Why can't anything be right? It turns out that while Leo Fender was an amazing engineer, he was not a musician, and he just got him wrong. So now all of us guitar players have to live with the fact that this is not a tremolo and this is not a vibrato, but this is a tremolo and this also is a vibrato, but they're also not. And it makes no sense and it's confusing, and thanks a lot, Leo. Anyways, sorry about that. Let's get back to what we were doing. Like I mentioned, today is all about finishing touches. Most of what I did was just getting the spring set in the back of the guitar and also attaching a string tree to the headstock. The string tree is just there to help keep tension on the higher strings. After I got all that worked out, it was time to put a fresh set of strings on. After getting the strings tuned up, I realized that there were some issues with uneven fret heights, but I decided that was an issue I'd just work on later. This can be pretty bad to how it plays, but honestly, it was a very minor issue on like only one fret of the high E string, so for now, it'll do. And I know, it's all you've been waiting for. It's time to finally hear what this sounds like. But before we get into that, there's two things I want to say. First, please show your support for this video. Like, subscribe, comment, I put a lot of work into this. And second, you've actually been hearing the guitar the entire video. The 4 steps to good guitars.